anybody and everybody calls in the world of football when they want things getting done or when they're afraid of getting their hands dirty.
We are here with serial entrepreneur Saif Rubie. I remember seeing your face in the Daily Mail and the Sun.
I remember that time actually because the whole of the football world basically tried to gang up on me.
Going into these nightclubs, is it a risk?
I actually brought one of the biggest nightlife brands in the world, which is One Oak.
That's it, One Oak, yes. If I'm not mistaken, you brokered it, is it $396 million?
I've done deals in China. I've done deals in Africa. I've obviously done a lot of deals in the Premier League, La Liga, France, Italy.
Has it been difficult to get your opinion across and your, I suppose, your reputation back to the level you know it should be at?
I've walked through the fire.
Are you out the fire now?
Came out of it on top.
Yeah.
Because I've done nothing wrong.
I've walked through the fire and f***ing hell, I've been burnt enough times.
Yeah.
But that's part of running a business and trying to be successful. On today's episode of Taking Care of Business, we are here with serial entrepreneur Saif Rubie, who is the partner of FGSL. Welcome, Saif.
Thank you very much for having me, Lewis.
FGSL, let's start with that. What is FGSL?
Stands for Future Gen Sports and Luxury.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what is that, like a group of companies?
Group of companies covering sort of the business that I'm involved in.
Okay.
Obviously, the main one being the sports agency.
Okay.
So Future Gen, just referring to future generation talent, that kind of vibe.
In Football Manager, Future Generation was the regions. They were the new players coming through, which obviously what that means.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a play on that.
Yeah.
And then sports, because I'm involved in any sport that needs representation.
I am looking forward to talking to you a lot about this because I'm a mad football fan.
Of course.
Sponsored Controversies for 6 years, been to the FA Cup finals.
You got robbed against United.
If VAR existed, mate, we would have been playing Man City and got done 10-0 at that point, I'm sure, but we would have been in the final.
And you'd be in the Europa League.
So how I know you is quite interesting. Well, it would have been Europa League. How I know you is quite interesting. Obviously, we would have met, I reckon, probably 13 or 14 years ago. I was in a boardroom and one of your friends and my friends, Rachel Baker.
Yes.
She introduced it. I remember at the time we were talking about property and investment and things like that. And I've then watched you from the outside in and I've seen your incredible journey. And again, if you listen to the podcast, you're going to think, wow, this guy is incredible. And you really are. Football agent. You represented Tony Rudiger, who's Chelsea.
I worked with Chelsea and bringing him to Chelsea.
Okay.
So that was when he was at Roma.
Yeah. What a player he is, by the way.
He's done great. I mean, I've known him since he was a young pup in Germany.
Yeah.
Playing in Stuttgart.
Yeah.
Tried to bring him to the Premier League then.
Yeah.
Didn't quite happen. And then he ended up going to Roma.
Okay.
And Roma being probably Italy being the best league in the world for developing defenders.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
Because obviously they defend in a certain way. So he already had the physicality and the mindset, but being in Italy kind of sharpened up his defensive tools.
Yeah.
I worked hard, brought him to Chelsea in the Premier League. Obviously had a few ups and downs, but in the end was one of the best defenders in the world.
Still is.
Well, no, I'm saying at Chelsea.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, won the Champions League. And then...
Who else do you represent?
Well, I don't really, I'm more of a broker of deals.
Okay.
So... my thing is having great relations with players, their agents, their advisors, their family.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm very connected to a lot of top level clubs around the world.
Yeah.
So
I know you're always at Chelsea. I always see you at Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea's an interesting point.
Yeah.
More recently, there's been a few situations, but I've always got love for the club. But I mean, Manchester City with Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Newcastle United.
Yeah.
I've always had great relations with over the years. Now with the PIF guys, buying the club, I know that group as well.
Okay.
And West Ham United, David Sullivan, done deals with him over the last 15, 20 years.
How do you get into, obviously, we're going to get onto the real business stuff. Obviously, you've launched an incredible brand, The Players House, which is something we're going to get onto in a minute, that is now partners with Allsopp and what we're doing. And I'm really looking forward to talk about that. But I want to talk about football agency because you must have some mad stories. I've heard the story about the guy in I think it was Gerrard's cousin.
Yeah.
And that come out in the press, and I think you represented him. And
I mean, look,
you've had some mad stories.
The thing is that there's not many people that will, what's the right word? Will stick their neck on the line.
Yeah.
Because most people want to be diplomatic. Most people don't want to get their hands dirty.
Correct.
I'm one of the people who is probably the outlier because I'm the one anybody and everybody calls in the world of football when they want things getting done or when they're afraid of getting their hands dirty.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it. I'm kind of like the villain.
Yeah.
But the reality is I'm just doing my job. And even in the case that you just mentioned, the reality is, I just did what I was asked of me.
Yeah.
Did my job very well. And
Am I allowed to talk about that or not?
you can talk whatever you want.
What was the guy's name?
Bobby Duncan.
So Bobby Duncan, again, it's because I'm a big football fan. I seen it from the outside. I remember seeing your face in the Daily Mail and the Sun. And if I'm not mistaken, he'd said that he was being bullied to stay at Liverpool, and then you ended up making it with Fiorentina. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I mean, look.
Is that right?
It is right.
Okay.
And the thing is this with football clubs, what I don't understand is football's all about it's one of the weirdest businesses when it comes to assets, let's call them. Players are assets. And the reality is if your asset is not right, they're not happy, they're not able to perform on the pitch. So for whatever reason, football in general has a really bad habit of hanging on for dear life to assets they're not happy with.
Same with most businesses, mate. I mean, how many companies keep staff because they want staff, but they're not right for the business?
But in football, which ironically, I don't know if you've seen recently, has now changed because of Lassana Diarra.
Yeah.
So obviously in football, terminating your contract results in potentially huge financial penalties.
Because effectively you owe the contract back to the club for signing
Not
it.
just the contract, you owe compensation, all of that. It's not like a job. One of your employees not happy, he'll just resign and whatever amount of, compensation is payable, if there is any, just leave, In football it doesn't work like that.
Okay.
So, but now what's happened is Lassana Diarra challenged the laws of football transfers to do with terminating a contract.
And he just won, didn't he?
He just won the case. And now FIFA are scrambling internationally. They've actually just put out a tweet a few days ago asking stakeholders in the world of football to give their opinions on how the best way to deal with football transfers and compensation.
So does this mean effective now, someone buying a player, won't be a transfer fee if they want to cancel their fee?
No, they have to find a way of working. But in the case of the player you mentioned, for example, he wasn't happy in the club he was in, which happened to be Liverpool.
Yeah.
Liverpool's a massive, huge club. There was opportunities for him to go and get a chance to prove himself, but they refused.
So you outspoken and on his behalf?
Yeah, I had to I was fighting his corner.
Yeah. But he's not going to do that on his own. So that's why an agent is there, isn't it? You know what I mean? That's what your job is to do.
I'm a conduit.
Yeah.
for good or for bad.
Yeah.
And, just so happens for whatever reason, I end up finding myself in sticky situations. And, I remember that time actually because the whole of the football world basically tried to gang up on me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was a big story at the time.
Yeah.
And everybody thought that I was out of the game. Oh, this guy's been destroyed. I remember Jamie Carragher trying to fire a pelter at me online. And I was thinking to myself, listen, mate, you've been caught on camera spitting at people out of a window.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
And I was just laughing about it. Yeah. It was very sticky at the time.
People hate agents, though. I mean, they hate real estate agents because we're all paid a fee.
But I always compare football agency to real estate.
Yeah.
I always, when they ask me, I'm like, listen, it's like anything. And, in football
we're trading in assets.
Yeah.
And we're looking after the best interest of the seller at the time or the
whatever
player.
it is. You've got, in football, you have, three sides, which is the selling side, the buying side, and the client itself, the player, the asset. So, they all, when they feel like they have a need for you, you're the best thing since sliced bread. But when things are not going in their direction, you're the worst thing in the world. So it comes with the territory.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Okay, I'm going to come off football agencies. I could talk all day to you about football agencies, but I want to talk to you about obviously your risk taking because you were a partner in a nightclub before. Wow, what was the nightclub called?
I still am actually. I actually brought one of the biggest nightlife brands in the world, which is One Oak.
That's it, One Oak, yes.
So I brought One Oak to Dubai.
Is that still around?
Still around, 7 years.
Mate, the reason I don't know that I don't go out anymore, you've said to me a few times.
Neither do I, so don't worry. I'm not, we're a bit more evolved.
My kneecaps can't take the dance for him.
That's it, But
obviously, One Oak being there, you've invested in nightclubs and bars and pubs, and this is really for speaking as an entrepreneur to an entrepreneur. Going into these nightclubs, is it a risk? Was it a risk? How do you end up in owning a nightclub and obviously the players' house? Talk me through the risks involved in that, and why did you decide to do that?
I mean, look, One Oak was a case of, a big brand, which at the time was the biggest nightlife brand in the world, wanting to come to Dubai. I was involved with a couple of people that, were looking to bring the brand to Dubai. So I was pretty much, in the middle of the situation, and I put the whole deal together. And, we opened the venue, which is in the JW Marriott in Business Bay.
Yeah.
And it's been a great success.
Is it a profitable business, owning a nightclub? Because obviously...
Well, it ran for 7 years.
Yeah.
It's still running.
Yeah, but what I mean by that is that if I look from the outside in, obviously your main job is to get people through the door.
Yeah.
And then obviously you buy that alcohol cheap. And I remember when you're buying champagne, when you're on a night out, you're paying 7x, 10x compared to what you're buying it in a...
Yeah.
So it must be, if you've got a successful nightclub, it must be worthwhile.
For sure. I mean, but the pitfalls are obviously what your cost base is, like anything in any business.
What's the biggest cost base you think for a nightclub?
Could be anything from, you're in real estate, it could be anything from rent to your payroll, staffing, all of that. So it's a case of how do you, get a business that can potentially be profitable, like you said.
Yeah.
But, when the going is good, it's great.
Yeah.
When the going is not good, it's
a rough... When you stand in the nightclub alone, it's...
I mean,
11 p.m.
Yeah, it's not great.
What's been your biggest challenge then in terms of in the F&B hospitality sector? What over this period of the last 10, 15 years, what's been your biggest thing where you thought, shit, this is a challenge?
Oh, it's, to be honest, like touch wood, in the businesses that I've been involved in, they've been quite good.
Okay.
In terms of just being popular, in terms of being well known.
Yeah.
Not so my most recent venture, because when you build a new concept or when you create something new, it's and you bring something new to the market.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a lot more of a harder developing the brand and creating something fresh to the market. So it takes a lot more longer time to kind of introduce people to what you're trying to do.
Yeah. And do you find that going into these businesses, does it help if you have business partners that know what they're doing in it? Is that quite a big thing for you?
1,000,000%. I mean, to be honest, on this particular one, I somehow ended up finding myself going solo on it.
Really? What, in One Oak?
Not One Oak, in
Players' House. Players' House, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Because of maybe what you gained from One Oak?
No, to be honest, it was just one of those situations where I was offered, the space that is there.
Yeah.
Which for me was a prime location on the Palm. And as we say in real estate, location. And this particular location for me is the best location on Palm Jumeirah, which is...
Let's talk about it then. Players' House.
Yeah.
Okay. Run me through, for anyone that's listening, what the concept of this incredible idea is, or business.
Well, I didn't want to create something that was just what everything's out on the market, i.e. just a pub or a bar or a restaurant or a nightclub. Yeah. I was like, what can I put together that can be quite interesting to a broad spectrum of people?
Okay.
That can appeal to a lot of people, young, old, medium, whatever, families, kids, you name it. So my vision was to create like a premium upscale sports lounge.
Okay.
That had great food and drink, that had great atmosphere, but also was a multi-purpose venue.
That's the big thing for me, the multi-purpose venue. You have a podcast room in there, don't you?
We have a podcast room. We have a professional music studio.
Okay.
So we've had some of the biggest people in the world of music in the music studio.
Who have you had in there that you can tell us?
Most recently was Trey Songz.
Oh, really?
So Trey was in Dubai doing some shows, and he actually hired out the studio for 10 hours.
Wow.
And he loved it because, we have a private room called the Red Room where the music studio is, and while he was making his music, his crew that were with him, his private security, etc., were watching NFL Sunday and having chicken wings.
Wow.
So it was like an environment which makes those kind of international celebrities feel comfortable.
I seen you had Paul Pogba there.
Yeah, Paul, when he's in, he's a big fan. He's a big friend of ours.
Okay.
And when he's in Dubai, he's in there 3-4 nights a week. Again, because he wants to be feeling comfortable in an environment where he's not getting bothered, he's not getting harassed.
Yeah.
And also, like I said, we're not a place which is a heavy nightclub vibe. We're a nice lounge which has great food, all the sport, great music, and we're also opening. We also have a barbershop on site.
Yeah.
So barbershop's opening soon. And what we've tried to do and what we're doing right now, we've had a very nice upgrade recently, which is why obviously Players House, Allsopp and Allsopp decided to sort of put something cool together in terms of providing a new kind of offering to the city. Because for me, for example, our roast dinners are amazing.
Yeah.
So Saturday, Sunday, you can come and watch the sport, have a drink, have some great Sunday roast.
Yeah.
Come with your family.
Yeah.
Which again, it's nice, but it's more the husbands bringing their wife and kids.
Yeah,
now 'cause they
exactly.
wanna watch
Come
the
on,
football.
you sit down. I'm going to watch.
Yeah. That
And you
kind
get
of
your
vibe.
haircut where the kids get their haircut there.
That kind of vibe.
That's what we've built in Allsopp and Allsopp. We have such similar mindsets because when we built this place, when we start building the first office in this, we have 3 floors here now. It's like 36,000 square feet in this building. And when we built it, the main thing I said is forget looking at the desk. I don't care about how many desks. What I want to do is how does it feel to somebody? And what I worked out is things like getting your haircuts. We've got a barbers in here.
I saw a pool table. I saw the pool table.
Pool table, PlayStation. But then we have like coffee houses. We've got here, had K-Cal here, which is now a British cafe. We've got food. So all the things that you do in your life, we want to create so that you're not at work. You are working, but you're not at work. Like you're here to do well, but it's in right where you're comfortable. I think that's such a big thing. If you can create that, you create
and this is what we've tried to create with Players House. It becomes like a community hub.
Exactly.
Especially where we're located on the Palm, where, our catchment area is, we've got maybe 25, 30,000 residents on our doorstep.
Crazy.
Plus 4 million plus visitors a year to the Palm in terms of tourists.
Yeah.
So, we get even Royal Atlantis sending us clients from there because there isn't a upscale lounge that shows the sport in the way we do, at the same time as providing a safe environment for everybody to come and enjoy. We've got great brand partners like TCL Electronics for the screens, Uka Shisha, which is the future of Shisha, which provides, again,
What is Uka? Is that vaping one or what? What is it?
No, you don't say vape to Uka. So
Oh, really?
No, because it's real Shisha.
Okay.
It's the future of Shisha.
Okay.
So think of Nespresso and Nescafe.
Yeah.
So when Nespresso first came out, owned by Nescafe, obviously you had the pods and real coffees in the Nespresso pods.
Yeah.
Same thing with Shisha, with Uka. So
is it real smoke or is it?
It's real smoke, real
Oh,
Shisha,
wow.
but 99% less emissions, no coal. They even have, I don't smoke, for example, but they have tea-based, no nicotine pods.
Oh, wow.
Which
it's
are
like me
amazing.
having a decaf coffee, really.
That's literally
exactly
what
what it is.
So if you want to watch a game and just chill and have a puff,
Yeah.
but on a flavor, that's what it is.
Okay.
And so they're big, massive partners of ours. And to be honest, we were the first, well, I was, but we were the first brand to really believe in Uka.
Yeah.
So again, when we just recently did this upgrade, Uka were integral to the whole thing. And now, to be honest, Uka are everywhere. But we're very proud to be the first ones in the UAE to be fully supported by them. And just, it's all about improving the offering to all the people.
Okay.
And that's why, for me, it's all about brand partnerships, collaborations, bringing great groups and organizations together. That's what I try and do.
Yeah, I think, look, the good thing about working with yourself, I think you've got an incredible reputation locally, internationally. You're very well known in Dubai. Would you say your reputation is one of your biggest currencies?
It is, but unfortunately, like anything, when you are seen to be successful in a certain way,
Yeah.
it also attracts a lot of kind of negativity because people don't really understand how you go about your business and what you're trying to do.
I think that's part of the game. I think on social media, if you're going to be visible on social media or in the press, you got to accept that 50% people are just going to hammer you and 50% are going to like you. And that's just part of the game, I think.
I think with me, it's probably 80-20. So, thank you to the 20%.
Yeah, but look, you've got, if I'm not mistaken, you brokered is it $396 million? What's this about?
Yeah, if you include the free transfers, it's probably over $500 million worth of deals.
$500 million worth of transactions. And out of them deals that you've been involved in, obviously there's so many to talk about. What's been the most lucrative to you in a long term? Has there been a transaction where you thought, without saying the player's name, where you thought, wow?
You know what it is? For me, I always tell people every transaction is important because you never know where it's going to lead to in terms of relationships, in terms of introductions, in terms of network.
Yeah.
I've done deals in China. I've done deals in Africa. I've obviously done a lot of deals in the Premier League, La Liga, France, Italy, America. My network of agents that I work with, it's a bit like, in real estate, you have obviously real estate agents and brokers and what have you. So, I have a tight-knit group of people I work closely with. And, between us, we pretty much cover the whole world.
Oh, wow.
So, it's one of those things where people will call me for where I'm strong in.
Yeah.
And I'll call people that I work closely with in where they're strong at. And between all of us, we get deals done.
So what I want to know, though, I want to know lucrative. If you can't tell me numbers, tell me a transaction.
No.
What I want to know is, as a football agent or someone that's in between the brokerage, you must get a percentage of the sale or percentage of the contract. How does that work? Is it negotiable?
I would say it's pretty much a percentage of the whole value of the deal. Let's call it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that makes it even more lucrative.
Yeah.
Then.
So, one of the biggest deals I did, 2015, was when I took Asamoah Gyan, ironically from Al Ain in the UAE to China, Shanghai.
What a contract he got, by the way. It was like 400 grand a week or something.
It was equivalent of that, and imagine that was in 2015.
So the high inflation as well.
So that was arguably one of the highest contracts in the world at the time, and I was the one that did it. So I guess in a way, that was.
How would you get paid on that though? Not how much you get paid. How do you get paid for the whole contract value up front? Do you get it dispersed over the contract?
Every country has different ways of how things get paid.
Okay.
What's
the standard though? How does the standard
is typically over the period of the contract.
Really? It's like a drip?
It could be over 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
So, it's good. And again, obviously there's different people involved in the transaction. So everybody takes their piece, but it's good.
Okay. So you being an agent, obviously we talked before about, I don't think we can talk about your most recent one because I guess that's a little bit of a sore subject to talk about. But when your reputation is put under scrutiny in the public environment, do you think, or has it been difficult to get your opinion across and your I suppose your reputation back to the level you know it should be at?
Listen, I always tell people, especially in football and business, generally in business, the reality is if someone wants something that you have, you could be in your boxer shorts and your flip flops and they do business with you.
Yes, correct. I agree.
That's the reality of it. So whether they like you or not, if you have something that they want, they're going to do business with you.
Okay.
But obviously in football business, the people that I'm close to, some of the owners I'm close to, some of the chief execs I'm close to, some of the managers in the Premier League that I know personally for over 15 years, they know me, for good or for bad.
Yeah, so, but you can pick up the phone to them guys at any time.
Easily. And, even when I was having some, well-publicized legal issues over the last 2 or 3 years, some big football club owners and CEOs were, they had no issues with me because they know that, I fight my corner.
I'd want someone on my side like that, good or bad. Like, I always say, tell everyone I'm the bad guy.
Well, that's
I'm
it.
Cool with that.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So, sometimes it gets a bit sticky, but look, the most important thing is you have to know yourself, and if you know you've not done anything wrong, and you just try to help people, or you're trying to do business in the right way. That's all you can do. Sometimes people have an issue with that because they have their own opinions about agendas. Agenda's a good word, actually. Yeah. So when they have their own agenda, there's nothing you can do about it apart from make sure that, you come out on top. And like I said, I've walked through the fire.
Are you out the fire now?
I'm out of the criminal fire.
No one wants to be in the criminal fire.
Which is great. Came out of it on top.
Yeah.
Because I've done nothing wrong.
Of course.
And now I need to, I'm dealing with a legal situation in terms of financials. But
so you're due money from clubs, effectively.
I'm due a lot of money from a lot of people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but again, it's funny because I remember when I was dealing with my criminal things, and a lot of people
who are watching this and wanted to ask, without going into detail, what the criminal things are.
No, I had an issue with Chelsea Football Club, which was well publicized. I mean, it's not, it's not right. You just Google it.
It's all over the press,
all over the press, yeah. And long and short of it is, the previous regime had, for whatever reason, had an issue with some business that we were doing.
Yeah.
And instead of just dealing with it in a normal commercial way, they try to take it in a different direction.
The reason they do that is to not pay you. That's the only reason that I know. Everyone knows how business works.
And that's what actually came out in the criminal
really?
case. Yeah. Because, I mean, it's a nonsense. But yeah, so...
But the cost of defending yourself and then being in the press and everything else is actually more damaging financially. And
it's not even about, to be honest, financials is one thing. You know, we all go through ups or downs.
Yeah, of course.
It's more the physical and the emotional drain.
Yeah.
But again, you know, the toughest survive.
Definitely. And you're one of the toughest, mate, out there, 100%, and one of the most well-known.
Yeah.
So my last question I've got for you on today's episode is, if you were talking to an 18-year-old version of yourself, what tips would you give yourself? And what if someone listening to this in business? Because obviously you said a minute ago you walked through the fire. I've walked through the fire, and fucking hell, I've been burnt enough times.
Yeah.
But that's part of running a business and trying to be successful. What tips would you give to your 18-year-old self? What would you say
to my 18-year-old self? Don't react so reactively. That
makes sense. No, I agree. Yeah.
So
instant reactions is by far the worst thing you can do, isn't it?
Which I have a bad habit of doing. So I'm fully aware of my things that I do sometimes.
How old are you now?
46.
Yeah, so 38, 46. I think when you hit your late 30s, 40s, at that point, you should be emotionally aware enough to go, don't react.
Yeah. And, you know, but the problem is with me is because it's like, what do they call the expression, poking the bear?
Yeah.
All people do is poke me.
Yeah.
And I'm here in Dubai just minding my own business.
Yeah.
Just trying to, you know, build brands, build concepts, have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy the weather. But people don't want to let us be. So
they don't let successful people be there, mate.
No. So unfortunately, you know, you end up sometimes saying or doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. We're still here.
Well, mate, you've had an incredible career of it and building something incredible. So anybody watching this, Players House is where the magic's at. Podcast, family fun. We've got comedians on last week, I believe. If you're looking to watch the football in the finest places to watch it on one of the finest locations on the Palm Jumeirah, Players House is where the money's at. Thank you very much for coming down, mate.
Thank you.
Cheers. Cheers, guys.